Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Shane McMahon is terminated from WWE. We have a new WWE champion, and Cain Velasquez makes his debut. I'm Laurie Blake. Press the thumbs up and leave a comment down below to answer our question of the day. What can Kofi Kingston do now? And remember to vote in the poll above my head to give your rating for SmackDown's debut episode on Fox, where you can choose from Smacknificent, Smacktastic, Smack Bang in the Middle, Smackdowner, and a Smack in the Face, as me and Chopper review the October 4th episode of Friday Night SmackDown on Fox. Now, if you think you were getting through SmackDown on Fox without seeing a McMahon, then I'd say you've got no chance. That's what you got. Mostly because Shane McMahon is already booked for an O match, but also because Vince and Stephanie come out early doors here to welcome us to SmackDown on Fox before Vince goes full on Mr. McMahon here with a "Welcome to Friday Night SmackDown." Again, I feel like that's just a Richard Nixon and not really Vince McMahon. You get what I was going for Vince. To cap off all the old school vibes that Vince is putting out into the world though, the new title sequence is set to AC/DC's Are You Ready for a Good Time? Showing that while SmackDown may be sponsored by a brand called Progressive, the music tastes haven't progressed at all in many, many years. Coming back in after the title sequence, and who should be the first superstar we see but Becky Lynch, who is the Raw Women's Champion. She says that SmackDown is in her blood. It's where she busted the glass ceiling and where the crowd raised her up to where she is now, which is out of the orbit of the mid-card vortex. Because King Corbin comes out to interrupt, saying that everyone knows who should really be starting this show, and as if on cue, if you smell what the Dwayne is cooking. And he's cooking broke-ass Burger King on crack, apparently, because that's what he calls Corbin. It's the kind of savage shade that makes RuPaul proud. Corbin takes all of this hate in his stride, though, playing along with the chats about his ball size, even being called an STD, aka super tough dude, and even managing to sneak in his own your local sports team put down. It was honestly pitch-perfect heel work from Corbin, who's really hitting his stride. And it made him completely deserving of the people's elbow and rock bottom that his douchebaggery begat. Overall, this was a fun little opening segment with tight scripting, funny lines, and great interplay between all three of them, though The Rock putting over Becky so hard did make the next match feel like a foregone conclusion.
Becky Lynch stayed in the ring after her time with The Rock, which led into the previously announced 4 Horsewomen tag team match. The match itself was fine, with nothing really special thrown in. The finish came about when Charlotte hit a huge moonsault to the outside, then rolled Bayley in, locked in the figure 8, and got the submission win. Your SmackDown Women's Champion, everyone! This will likely build to a Charlotte-Bayley match being announced for Sunday as well on Twitter, or Tout, or something. Wait, what's happening on Sunday? Hell in a Cell? Man. Should have mentioned. We cut backstage next with Erin Andrews, who's an NFL sideline reporter, conducting an interview with The New Day ahead of Kofi Kingston's WWE Championship match with Brock Lesnar. Kofi did the usual, saying he's the underdog and this night would be no different than the others. Erin actually showed some personality here and reacted to some of The New Day's shenanigans, so more of that, please. Next, we see Raw's Seth Rollins walking backstage, and it's announced that Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura in a champion versus champion match is happening next. After an ad break, Seth makes his entrance, accompanied by fire on the new set, which looked awesome. But before Shinsuke can make his entrance, we're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never ever end. Yeah, it was like a Firefly Funhouse remix right there. We got another fantastic Firefly Funhouse segment from Bray Wyatt, who put over what's going to happen this Sunday against Seth. Wait, what's happening this Sunday? Hell in a Cell? Man, you should have mentioned. Bray was on top form in this Funhouse promo, killing Rambling Rabbit for about the 17th time at this point, this time locking him inside a red cage with Mercy the Buzzard, who tore him to shreds, to which Wyatt laughed. I bloody love Bray Wyatt. After the Funhouse was over, Shinsuke finally got to make his entrance, and the match between he and Rollins started incredibly hot, with Shinsuke locking in a rolling armbar immediately. This prompted Seth to counter with a powerbomb and a couple of topes, and it looked like Seth was closing in on a win before the lights began to cut out. The Fiend appeared on the stage behind Rollins, who had run there for safety, locked in the mandible claw, and threw him off the stage. This was cool, And guess what? Built to Sunday. Shocking, I know.
We come back from the break and Kevin Owens is already in the ring getting the lovely jobber entrance so that we can get the crowd-pleasing Lewis Capaldi rip-off Shane O'Mac entrance. What is that about? Fortunately, Owens attacks during the best in the world introduction and kicks off a crazy ladder match that is one big game of connect the spots. Shane puts Owens through the announce table with a flying elbow. Owens frog splashes Shane through a ladder, which causes him to melt like the Senator in X-Men 1. A coast to coast into Owens' face via the way of a ladder, and then Owens powerbombs Shane onto a ladder in the corner, giving him a chance to climb up and claim the briefcase, which is full of what? Contracts? Like well-thumbed issues of Playboy? What's in there? Money? As much as I was over Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens, this was actually a really great match and the highlight of the wrestling of this show, and built to an awesome moment where Kevin Owens, who as we all know is role-playing as Steve Austin at the moment, got to tell a McMahon, "You're fired." If only all legal disputes could be settled this way, it would make Judge Judy a much more entertaining show. We then quickly hopped over to the blue carpet, which actually happened before the show, and saw people arriving like Cesaro, Lita, Goldberg, Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch, and weirdly, Bobby Lashley with Lana on his arm. It's an almighty affair that one is. Caleb Braxton then interviews Paul Heyman, who says that Brock will become champion tonight, and that is a spoiler. Spoiler? That was a spoiler. He also plays a video package recapping the beatdown of Rey Mysterio and Dominic from Raw this week, which played into the closing angle. Post-commercial break and Braun Strowman is making his entrance, and I was like, I wonder who he's going to be against. And then I was like, whoa, there's loads of people in the ring. Who's there? In this match, Braun teams with Heavy Machinery and The Miz to take on the team of AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Robert Roode, and Dolph Ziggler. That is the current US champion AJ Styles, current Raw Tag Team champions Roode and Ziggler, and Randy Orton, who was the #1 contender to the WWE Championship at the last pay-per-view. That is a ridiculous team, and they were all there to be shoulder tackled by Braun and dominated in a swift power slam victory. And then that whole thing was only there for a moment where Braun knocks one of the unimportant jobbers, so unimportant I don't even remember which one it is, into professional boxer Tyson Fury, who is at ringside. And then as Braun celebrates, the Gypsy King jumps the barricade and tries to start on the Monster Among Men before getting swamped by security and dragged away. And this is all a great idea for a showcase match with a great mainstream proposition for something like Fox with so many ties to all these other mainstream sports and wanting to get eyes on this product. But why sacrifice guys like AJ and Orton in this segment? I mean, Stone Cold was literally calling AJ one of the best in the world, one of the best ever the other day on WWE clips they put out on YouTube. And here, he's merely, set dressing for somebody else's feud. Ridiculous. We then get a recap from earlier where DJ Marshmello accidentally won the 24/7 title from Carmella after being knocked over by Otis, who was eating chicken out of a bucket or something. I don't even know. I couldn't even keep up with what this segment was. Otis, by the way, was also just on that team that beat the US champion, the Raw Tag Team champions, and Orton. Why are we back to burying guys to tangentially set up feuds that have nothing to do with them? We literally had a Lumberjack match that comes up next that proved we've got loads of fodder for this kind of thing, and we don't need to be using champions to just pad out matches for no reason.
We finally arrived at our double main event, with the first of the two being Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan in a Lumberjack match, because reasons. Daniel Bryan was on commentary for this one, trying to put over how deadly and big and red Rowan is. The match itself was your standard Reigns affair, with the added bonus of all the Lumberjacks beating him down instead of just his opponent. Rowan controlled Roman through an ad break, but once they came back, Roman fired up, which prompted none other than Luke Harper to make his way down the ramp. He beat up a few Lumberjacks before Daniel Bryan intercepted him, instigating a brawl between all the Lumberjacks too, because of course there was. This led to Roman Reigns diving on top of everyone and knocking them all over. He's a pretty big dog, you know. After this, Rowan hit a running crossbody onto Roman for a crazily close near fall. Harper interfered but took a running knee from Bryan for his troubles, which allowed Roman to hit the spear on Roman for the win. After the match, Bryan shook hands with Roman, which is good considering they're tagging together on Sunday. Wait, what's happening on Sunday? Hell in a Cell. Man, you should have mentioned. This led into the main event of the night, the WWE Championship match between Kofi Kingston and Brock Lesnar. The two men made their entrances and squared off inside the ring, Kofi being his usual pumped up self, throwing pancakes and all that jazz. The bell rang and Kofi immediately dived onto Lesnar, who caught him hitting F5, 1, 2, 3, Brock Lesnar wins. Okay. So, I'm not upset that Kofi lost. Kofi had to lose the belt at some point, and losing to Brock Lesnar is not the worst thing in the world. What I am upset about is that Kofi lost in a matter of seconds. He was treated like a joke, like someone who didn't take Lesnar seriously and someone that was not worth Lesnar's time. After all the work they did, with 11 years, with Kofi's win at Mania 35 and his booking after the fact being nearly flawless, to not even give him the satisfaction of kicking out of one F5, I think is a massive disrespect to his run as champion. Where this leaves Kofi now is anyone's guess, but I can see him just becoming another member of the New Day, just one of those three guys in that team in the tag division. While this no doubt was the lowest point of the night, spirits were attempted to be saved immediately afterwards as Lesnar's celebration was cut short by Rey Mysterio's music. Out came Mysterio and his much taller shaved head son Dominic. Oh wait, no, it's only bloody Cain Velasquez. This felt like a big deal, and Velasquez went straight to the ring with Mysterio, took down Lesnar, and started laying in some brutal-looking punches. Lesnar scrambled away to safety and teased getting back in the ring to fight him, which went on for a little bit too long, honestly. The crowd were just bummed out about Kofi losing in such a manner that they weren't as into the Velasquez debut as they should have been, possibly because some of the crowd didn't really know who he was either. Looking at it in a solitary bubble, the Velasquez debut was a good one. Setting up an immediate feud with Brock Lesnar is a great thing to do, with the pair's history in UFC and Velasquez being the one to defeat Lesnar for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. With context thrown in though, why does this need to be for the WWE Championship? Why did you have to make Kofi Kingston fifth wheel in a match where he entered as the champion? Why sacrifice Kofi to build to a feud that doesn't need the championship in it at all? This is like what happened when Goldberg versus Lesnar had to include the Universal Championship for some reason. It just doesn't need the top belt to be involved and take up space when the story is already right there. You don't need a belt that won't add anything to it. Overall, this SmackDown catered to new Fox viewers, letting them know who the important people were that they needed to care about. It also had massive crossover appeal, with constant references and cameos by sporting personnel, including pundits and athletes alike. And that was the point of this show, to let everyone know that Fox does sports, and wrestling is a sport that can slot in right alongside NFL, NBA, and NHL. This wasn't a show for wrestling fans. This was a show for sports fans and Fox fans. As such, this Fox episode of SmackDown gets a low smack bang in the middle. Thank you for watching, and a special thank you to our lovely pledge hammers on Patreon, some of whom you can see scrolling below me right now. Press the videos to the right to be taken to the latest WrestleTalk and Screenstalker things. I've been Chopper Pete Quinnell, joined by El Fakador Laurie Blake, and that was SmackDown on Fox.